we'll conclude the segment with our own senator from Greenwood, or McCormick, or Lexington, or who the hell knows where the guy lives. He asked his own deep probing questions.
Wait, let's see.
For these multi-million-dollar forensic auditors. Now, what I want you to pay attention to, Jamil and Michael, are the pauses between the questions asked by Garrett and the answers given by the auditors. Remember how you once said there's power in the pause?
Yes.
I'm curious to know what you hear in the pause in this scenario.
Okay, here we go.
So the purpose of the auditor is to look into these and find these discrepancies. Earlier you were talking about earlier on discrepancies when you mix the accounts from the original account to the 4 accounts. Is that correct? And picking it up at that point, the due diligence, comparing the accounts as they developed with the discrepancies. You with me there?
I think it would have been tough to make much of what was happening as it was happening, but certainly by the time it was finished, that's where we recognize an important point in time.
You had 2,400 accounts, as I understand it. Is that correct?
There's over 2,800 funds.
2,800 funds are, okay. And so each of these funds should have been accounted for separately, I'm assuming.
They self-balance to zero, and then they get rolled up into bigger numbers.
But they didn't self-balance to zero, it sounds.
They do. The difference here with this particular fund is, as Susan mentioned, the original intent for the fund was to record transfers between banks. So from that perspective, if you looked at every bank account within this fund, it should all net to zero if it's just moving between banks. What these particular entries did was, again, looking at across all the cash accounts in this fund, that's when it started accumulating a balance, which was different than that fund had previously been treated before.
Let me ask you one other question. As it relates to how we accounted for this, we accounted for it as a liability. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's both in cash and a liability. So hence the offsetting nature of the fund. So you have the cash side and then the liability side.
Okay, so it means nothing. It's not an asset, nor is it a liability. It's just zero?
No, it's both.
Okay, so, all right. Let me see if I can understand that.
And you know what, Jamil? This went on for 5 more minutes.
I almost reached in to help. Like, wait a minute, Senator, what they saying is. Let me say it this way, Senator.
Listen, boy, did we miss out on Francie Cleckley, right? I mean, imagine her years of experience with the IRS and conducting audits, how that would have resonated as opposed to Grandpa Garrett over here, who's like, you're trying to explain Bluetooth to him.